Yo, what is up once again, everybody? How's everybody doing? This is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast, brought to you by My Song of the Day, Rock 2000 to today. How's everyone doing? Hoping your Tuesday is going fan-diddly-tastic. If you can't tell, I'm a little bit hoarse because, well, when I'm shooting this episode, let's just say this. I was at a church festival slinging beers for Jesus the past 2 nights, so trying to yell at people, make sure I got their beer order right. Left my voice a little bit hoarse, so I can't do the without sounding like I, going through puberty and gonna crack my voice, but I digress. So welcome again. This is episode number 31 of the Chord Progression Podcast, brought to you by My Song of the Day, Rock 2000 to today. Got a hell of a show for you because we do have another guest for the show, specifically for one reason and one reason only, and I will get to that right after I do the shameless plugs. Again, if I had advertising, this is where it would be. It'd be right at the beginning. So for some reason, if you guys were like, oh, I want to listen to it, you know where it is. But if you don't want to listen to it, you know where it is. So outside of that, I don't have any advertising up to this point, so you're just going to hear me just say everything. So all the stuff for this is going to be in the description below, but follow us, subscribe, all our social media platforms. Facebook, you'll be notified of everything that we do. Twitter, we talk to you guys, but I got to do a better job on that. Instagram, we talk to you guys about what's going on in music. Also, we do our behind-the-scenes IGTV videos every Tuesday night, give you a background look of maybe what's going on. In our last one that we did, talk about a potential U.S. tour for My Song of the Day, Rock 2000 Day, where I just go around for a week, see a bunch of shows in like different states, and then if you guys are out in those states, I'll go see a show with you. And then do the same thing for Europe as well, because I really want to go back to Europe. And then we do our Instagram live streams every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Central, for an hour. You come, ask us questions, I'll give you the answers, and we'll just have a great conversation. Always love doing those, so stop on by, so follow all that stuff. Subscribe to our YouTube channel because we do a lot of fun videos on there every Wednesday night. We've been doing a lot of album reviews lately, and that's really what's been going to be the rest of September and October, and I've got one in November now, but I will discuss that later. And after that, just subscribe to the channel because you get to see all that content. You'll get to get our full take of every single album that we review, honest take, and then, of course, we want to hear what you got to say. So subscribe to the channel so then you can always comment below, and, of course, I look at all that stuff, so I will, as always, respond to it. We got the Chord Progression Podcast here. You pretty much know what's going on here if you listen to it. We interview people that follow us, smaller bands, hopefully bigger bands one day, or I just shoot the shit with myself and just talk about all the stuff that's going on with us and what we're doing. So if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or on YouTube, thank you. And last but not least, what's last, Kevin? Well, last is our Alexa skill where you can hear every single song of the day choice. So to subscribe to that, just click the link in the description below, enable the skill on your Amazon Alexa device. Then all I have to say is, hey, Alexa, play my song of the day. Then Alexa will go, playing your song of the day. I can't do that voice anymore. Still, my voice is kind of hoarse. But on that note, they'll get like a 5-second intro from me, and you'll hear the song in its entirety. You can listen to it for the full 24 hours. You can listen to it as many times you want because you'll get a brand new song every single day. Good way to start out your morning, brand new. Good way to end your day, get to the middle of the day, anything you need it for. Discover new bands, rediscover old bands, find out, oh, I like that song. Yeah, that's perfect. And then we also do Small Band Saturday, where we take a smaller band that's out there and we feature them on our Amazon Alexa device. Well, as a song of the day choice. So you can hear the whole song there, but you can also hear the 30-second preview for that song on Instagram and on Twitter, and I gotta be putting those out on Facebook too so everyone can hear them, because we have some great bands that are coming up down the pipeline for the rest of September and October too. 3 of them actually featured here on the Chord Progression Podcast, so you're going to want to check that all out. Again, links for all this stuff in the description below, but then for shameless plugs, that's about it. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this whole entire thing, because we had a new album that came out this past week on September 6th, and it was one that I had been highly anticipating since it was announced and the first single came out for it. And I will give you a little bit of context before we make the call and bring on our guest. So this is How It Feels to Be Lost, the sixth album from the band Sleeping With Sirens. Little bit of context before we make the call and we really get into who the person that we're calling is and what everything is going on. To catch you up to speed, this is their sixth album. They did say this was going to be their hardest album to date, and they were turning back into their original form and sound like they had on With Ears to See and With Eyes to Hear. So that was their first album, and Let's Cheers to This, which was their second album. So we'll see if they did it, we'll see what we think, and we'll just take a huge deep dive into it, along with taking a deep dive into our guest. So let me give you her little preview from what we have, and let me pull up her stuff to make sure. Oh, wait, what was that? Nope. Okay, I got it. So talking to people on Instagram about this album because, that's what I want to do. I want to hear what people have to say. And I was talking to someone on the fan page on Instagram at Dreamy Kellen. Her name is Ariana, and she really wants to talk about this album. So, how about we give her a shot? I know she's going to do great, trust me. Big Sleeping With Sirens fan. Her fan page has more followers on Instagram than my Instagram page does, but we'll see if we can jump up both of our follower accounts after this. So let's give Ariana a call, and let's see what How It Feels to Be Lost was like. We want to know what you think too, so in Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anywhere we have our stuff, comment what you think, or send us a DM or anything, what you think of How It Feels to Be Lost, the sixth album from Sleeping With Sirens. But let's get Ariana's full take right about now. Sorry for that little bit of a delay in the call. That was on me.
Hello?
Hello, is this Ariana?
Yes.
Hey, Ariana, this is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast, brought to you by My Song Day 2000 Day. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
That is good. So, are you ready to talk all about Sleeping With Sirens and the brand new album?
Yes.
Alrighty, that is absolutely fantastic. So, before we get started, though, why don't you give me a little bit of a background on yourself and how you became a Sleeping With Sirens fan and what inspired you to start the fan page that you did?
Well, back in 2014 and 15, I actually was going through a lot of hard times in life, and I had heard about the band before, but I never bothered listening to them because I used to try to be someone else before. I used to be I used to think I was one of those preppy girls, so that's why I was that music's not for me. But when I went back to school, because I didn't go to school for so long when I was going through all that trouble, and I had a really good friend, and she was all into bands, and she knew what I was going through, and then she was hey, so there's this band that I like, and you should listen to them because I really think that they'll help you. So when I actually did listen to them just more and more, I fell so much in love with them. It helped me with everything in life. And I remember how much I was back into the bright light, from being isolated in the dark place for so long.
Interesting. So when you first heard their music, what was the first thing that you latched onto? Was it the lyrical content and the meaning behind the songs, or was there something about the composition of the song, or was there a certain song that when you heard it, you're like, this is it. I found something I love.
Yeah. The first song I had actually ever heard was, If You Can't Hang. I actually, don't get me wrong, but I didn't see their videos. I had just listened to the songs by itself. I thought it was a girl, and I was I told my friend, I was this girl sings so nice, and then she laughed a little, and she was like a girl, and I was yeah, it's a girl, right? And she says, no, it's a guy, and then I was oh, and I was for real? She says, yeah, watch the music videos, and I saw the music video, and I was oh, okay, so it is a guy, he has a pretty interesting voice, and there's just something about his lyrics that are just really motivational, and they inspired me, they really helped me strive throughout the days. And another song that I remember that helped me the most was Let Love Bleed Red. I think it was the Closer to Closure version. And I remember how I had lost sleep for 2 months, and I couldn't fall asleep the right way. I remember being so afraid. and I had listened to the song while I was laying down, and it made me feel like so safe, and and I knew that I was okay, and then I'd be fine, and I can make it through. And then I remember how I just fell asleep like so peacefully, like just listening to like Kellen's voice and the lyrics. It changed everything.
When you're telling that story about how when you first listened to the music, you thought that that Kellen Quinn was a woman, you're hearing a woman's voice. I kind of have to laugh at that, but the reason I have to laugh at that is because how you described it was the exact same thing that happened to me. The first time I actually ever heard Kellen Quinn's voice was he did a feature on Machine Gun Kelly's cover or change up cover, whatever, of Rise Against's Swing Life Away. And because I absolutely love Rise Against, I want to take a listen. I'm like, oh, who's this Kellen Quinn character? But I'm like, oh man. It's like, she's got a really interesting voice. Then all of a sudden I watched the music video for If You Can't Hang. I thought, oh shit! Did not see that one coming.
Yeah, same.
But then when all of a sudden I started listening to Pierce the Veil and I heard the exact same kind of tone from Vic Fuentes, I'm like, okay, I gotta pull back on this. I'm like, because I'm not sure on this one, but I might have a Kellen Quinn situation on my hands. And then of course it's Pierce the Veil and Sleeping with Sirens. You put them together and it's. I mean, you see those two. If they tour again, which I'm hoping that they do in 2020. I mean, it's a perfect match, basically.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so continuing on, because you have the fan page for Kellen Quinn, what inspired you to start this fan page?
I had actually already been a fan for about a good 3 or 4 years, but I never really started a fan page. Like, I had a fan page before, but it wasn't about him. It was about, like, some show. I used to watch The Walking Dead, like, when it was actually good. And I had a whole fan page about that show. But then at the same time, I was a fan of, like, Kel and, like, Sleeping with Sirens. But, like, people would, like, tell me, like, hey, like, you should make a fan page. And I was like, I don't know. And then I wanted to, but I never took the time to. And then when the show actually like started like going bad, and I was like, yeah, I don't want this fan page anymore. I'm gonna make something new. So I'm thinking, I was like, what should I make a fan page of? And I was like, of course, I was like, Kellen Sleeping with Sirens, like, because I've been wanting to do that for so long. Like, I just want to show like my dedication and my support, And this fan page means a lot to me,
When did you start this fan page exactly? Do you remember like what year or what kind of time frame?
It was in this last year in May, I believe. Yeah, it was like last year in May. So I've had it for about like a good year and a half already.
Alrighty, and what have you found anything interesting when you started this fan page when it's come to connecting with other people that are fans of the band? Or people that just like the music or anything like that, and then something like this where we just end up connecting off of with the new album coming out, and then boom, now you're talking about it with me on this podcast.
Yeah, like it was so crazy. Like I never really thought I would like go this far, like with the band and all that, because I used to be like so like I would think so low. Like before, I remember how I would like think to myself, I might go to their concerts, but I'm never going to meet them or nothing, and that's it. And I never thought that they would be my first tattoo idea, and then I would be doing a podcast this way. Like, I never thought, and I was just like, wow, like, this is so amazing. Like, this band has really done so great for me. Like,
so have you ever seen them in concert before, though?
I have. I actually have 6 times.
6 times?
Yes.
Okay, I definitely have to catch up to you because I've yet to even see them play live. So I got a ways to go. But then, have you ever done like a meet and greet with them or anything like that?
Yeah, every time I go, I always do meet and greets. Yeah, I don't know if you looked at my account, but all my pictures are on there.
I looked at it, but I probably didn't go down that far because really the whole entire the weekend after the album release, I was really trying to connect with as many people as possible because I really wanted to get a feel for how everyone thought about this album. And then I didn't like after initially talking to you, it's like I didn't want to hear any of your thoughts right away because I knew we were going to be doing this, and I knew that this was going to be the place where we were going to really put all of that out there. So I've had my ideas on the album and what I thought about it since before I even started talking to anybody about it. But then I can also kind of attest to how everyone else I've seen or have talked to can talk about it. So, shall we just get on into it and go from there?
Yeah.
Alrighty, so I'm actually going to start out with when, back in June, when the band announced that they were going to have a new album come out and that it was supposed to be like a return to their old sound and it was supposed to be their hardest record to date. And all of a sudden they drop Leave It All Behind. So when you first heard that song, Leave It All Behind, what were you thinking? What were you feeling? And did you like the song?
Yeah, I really loved it, and I was happy. Like, I actually was proud of Kellen because a few months before that, it was in November 2018, and I had gone to the meet and greet, and I had talked with him, and then I had asked him about like the new upcoming album, and then what's like the music going to be like, and is he like is he telling the truth? Is it really going to be heavy? He told me yes. I promise you that it is. So I believed it. Like, I believed it. I was like, okay, because I don't think he would really lie to me. So I guess I trust him with that. And then as soon as that song came out, I was like, wow, he really kept his promise. Like, he is so truthful, and I love him for that.
He really did. And when I first heard it, I was listening, I'm like, okay, let's see what we're kind of getting off of here. On the intro, I thought, this is something that was completely different than anything they had off of Gossip. And truth be told, I couldn't stand Gossip because I thought it was way too poppy and it just went away from what Sleeping with Sirens actually was. Whereas Madness kind of had more of those pop tendencies, but you could still tell there was certain songs really had that Sleeping with Sirens sound like Kick Me or Better Off Dead. So all of a sudden this one drops, Leave It All Behind. I listened to it and I was excited right away from it just because it sounded like something that could have easily come off of the Let's Cheers to This album. And I watched the music video for it, and it's eerily reminiscent of the If You Can't Hang video because it's when the band's completely featured all the time because they're all kind of in that dark room, and it's like there's a little bit of water on the floor, just basically like the If You Can't Hang video. The only thing is different is that, Kellen's wearing all white, and he's got blonde hair now.
Yeah, I had really thought that was like a big change. I was like, wow, like, did he really do that? I never thought he would go blonde because he had dark hair for like so long, and we were just so used to seeing that. And I was like shocked, but then I was like, wow, like he actually looks good that way. Like, and I remember I showed it like the pictures to everybody, and everybody was just like, dude, like he looks like Kurt Cobain.
A little bit, not a lot though, not a lot. But on top of that, where was I going to go with that? After looking at a lot of this stuff too, because I know there was an interview with Alt Press right before the album was released, and they went through a whole mess of like what it took to create this album and what it all happened with the band from the release of Gossip up until now, given the fact of what everything that Kellen Quinn went through with just with depression, anxiety, alcoholism, and all that stuff. So it was really interesting to read that article to see kind of how far away removed he was getting, and then all of a sudden just realizing it and stopping it literally on Christmas morning one year. And I can't remember if it was 2017 or 2018. I think it was 2018 though.
Yeah, it was somewhere around there, I believe.
Yeah, so right when the song dropped, Leave It All Behind, I thought, okay, I was really excited because it sounded like, they're coming back to their old sound. They're coming back to what we know them for and what they're really good at. But as always, when I get one single off of an 11-song album, I have to be skeptical just because I don't know what else is going to come,
Yeah, I see.
But then July hit, and then we got the second single, which was Break Me Down. Now, what did you think of that one?
Like, as they release like every new song, I just got prouder and prouder. Like, I've always been proud of them, but I'm just like, oh my god, like next time I see Kellen, I am gonna have that talk with him. Like you find ways just to make me proud. Like, man, like I love that you're very truthful and that you really kept that promise. Like, I don't know, it's just so crazy.
Yeah, because when I first heard that one too, I just thought, okay, now they're really going back to like that first album with Ears to See and with Eyes to Hear. and it sounded so raw too. It was you have the intro with the snare drum that kind of feels like it has like a loose snare on the bottom, so it just creates a little bit more of a rougher sound. And then Kellen's vocals, they really went in a more harsher and unclean tone, which really worked out well for this song. And then when I was going through my review of everything, I always start out with the singles first, just because trying to get a full feel of them because they come out first. So why not start with those? And I took a look at the lyrical content in "Break Me Down," and there is, I'll put it like, there is no metaphors there for anything. It's Kellen just goes straight up honest and just puts it all out there in this one. So I thought it was like this was my favorite song on the record. I'll put it that way.
I think I think my favorite one was Agree to Disagree. I think it was the music video that I really liked. I thought it was like aesthetic. I hope you know what that word means, because last time I met Kellen, I remember I told him, because I took a picture like of me holding his hand, like, because he has like that sunflower tattoo, and then I told him, oh, like that's aesthetic, and he was like, what? And I was like it's aesthetic, and he's like, I don't know what that word means, and I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, I actually thought the music video was aesthetic. Like, I love the themes that they put in music videos. Like, it's just really appealing.
I really wasn't the biggest fan of the music video for "Agree to Disagree." It just something felt a little too. I can't really say it felt something felt a little too plain about it. Where when we had like "Leave It All Behind," where it was most of the time it was like a flashback to "If You Can't Hang," but there was some other stuff going on in there. I don't know, that one just hit me better. But then overall with "Agree to Disagree," I really like the way everything is constructed on this song, except for the lyrics. The lyrics at times, they just seem a little cheesy and cliche. I don't know what other way to describe it to me personally. Just because it's like, it's like, okay, agree to disagree. I can see where he's coming from, but in a lot of the other songs that he's come up with on this album, lyrically he's gotten a little bit more creative and metaphoric in those lyrics to really kind of give you a inside look of exactly what he went through the past couple of years and how it's all led to this album. And in this one, it just seemed like how it was constructed, how it was written, it just seemed like it fell flat. And this is, again, just in terms of the lyrics. So I mean, I know you said this is your favorite, so I don't know if you really looked at that or feel the same way about that or what's going on there. But do you have anything to say off of that and maybe try and, completely discredit my statement? Ariana, you still there? Hello? Are you still there, Ariana? Is my phone turned off? It shouldn't be. Nope, that went all the way down. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, did you just cut out for a second, or what was going on there?
Oh, it must have been my earphones. I guess, yeah, they've been messing up a little lately. I took them off.
Okay, yeah, because there are times where it's like I'd say something, all of a sudden it'd be dead for like 5-10 seconds. So hopefully pulling out those earphones, hopefully that will take care of that.
Yeah, I just took them off. I can hear you again.
Alrighty, so I kind of was talking about how I wasn't a big fan of the lyrics and Agree to Disagree, how they felt kind of cheesy, where on the other songs, I thought Kellen was a lot more creative and metaphorical, but really still honest. And I just didn't know how, if with you Agree to Disagree being your favorite song off of this album, I didn't know if you kind of had anything to say to that or if you wanted to respond to that at all.
Well, I've never been the type to like downgrade anything that they do. Like anything that they come up with, like I always say like, oh, like I love it, like I'll never think low of it. Like I've just always been so supportive like that, to where like anything they do, like it makes me happy.
No, and I totally understand that. That's totally fine. It's just I want to see what if you had any takes on that when it came to just someone who was like I still like the album. I'm not gonna lie. However, there's points of it where it's there's points that there's not an album that I'm gonna say like everything is perfect on here. Okay, maybe one, but there's not gonna be really an album that's like I'm gonna say okay everything's perfect. They don't need to change anything. Otherwise, like maybe you could have tweaked this, tweaked that. So that's kind of where I was going with that. So. But then let's talk about the rest of the album because we kind of went through the singles. So on the rest of the album, what really stood out to you on the whole entire album as a whole?
Um, well, not really just like the fact that they went back to the original stuff, but I think the fact that I had really been waiting for this album for quite a while because this whole year was kind of tough for me. I really had like a tough summer. Like I mean it was good, but then I had my moments. And then I remember how I would think to myself, like, man, like I can't wait till this album comes out. Like I know it's really gonna like help me, like get through all the days. And the first day it came out, I remember how relieved, like, and happy I was. And I was like, like I can't wait, like, to listen to the whole thing. And then when I listened to the whole thing, I was just like, wow, like I'm gonna have these songs like on repeat, like as like I get through my days, because I always have my earphones on, so like that's what I'm gonna be doing, like now.
Uh, what was going on this summer that made you really want this album to come out that would help you out with stuff? If you don't mind me asking, if you don't feel like sharing, you don't have to. I'm just curious.
No, it's okay. I have a really close friend, and he used to like have like a really bad home life, and because I really never like I've always been introverted and all that, and I never really like went out places because I'm 18 years old and I'm almost 19, so like pretty much my whole life I've always been introverted, like a homebody. I never went anywhere, and when I met him, it was different because he was like the first one to actually like get me going places and like to get out like that, and I was just so comfortable with him. And he went into really bad depression where he went into like treatment centers, and he was gone for like a whole 3 months, and I didn't see him. So it's like, I lost my best friend and I didn't have him, and it's like I felt so alone. And then, I counted on this album, like that's like I felt like that's really all like what I just could count on at the moment. But since the album's here and I got my friend back, I got so happy. Like I got like all the things that I love, I got it all back, and that's why like I'm doing better now.
That's good to hear. And then now the fact that this album came out too, is it something that when you're listening to it, you can really use what happened over the summer and just relate to it, and kind of gives you a feeling of don't really know what the correct word is, but a feeling of calmness or sensibility or empowerment or however it makes you feel.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Did you really take a deep dive look into the lyrics on this one?
Yeah, I really did. I related to it so much, like, the place that Kellen was in, like I know it wasn't really like the same situation, but I really felt him on this one because I was in a really dark spot too, and he was there, and it's like I could feel it, like when he says the words, I just feel it like so much. It's like it speaks to me, like I just I know those emotions like so much.
Well, in interviews, Kellen did say that this was, or not an interview, I should say, it was a tweet that he sent out the day of the album release saying this was the most honest he's ever been on an album. And when I saw that, and after listening to it and really taking a deep dive look into what the lyrics were showing, I had to agree with that because he literally held nothing back. And as I was listening to it as well, I mean, I've gone through my own share of crap too, where it hasn't been good. But I kind of was like, dang, I wish this album would have come out at that time, just due to the fact that there would be something to relate to, and there'd be a sound to really put it into and connect with it. And then who know? And then if that would have happened, I mean, I could have had a stronger connection with this Sleeping with Sirens as a band than I do right now. Whereas when I was going through that crap, that was it basically started right before Chester Bennington passed, and I kind of started listening to there. One More Light album just to try and get a feel for it, because it's like, well, now he's gone. It's like, let's see what the sound really sounds like. And you could relate to it so much just with the fact of the lyrical content and all the metaphors that were in there, and like kind of sometimes, the wanting for help, and seeing it like with what Kellen did here. I have to think he kind of did something very similar where it was just being, but this one was a little bit different where it was, I think this one was a lot more straightforward, even though it was creative in how it was distributed. The metaphors in there were more creative, but still it was very straightforward and honest. You could easily pick up on them, and you could relate it to something that has happened in your past or some kind of emotion that you have. So that's kind of where I was thinking about that with this album. But otherwise, what other points in this album did you really like?
There was something that I had noticed that he brought back. Actually, I don't know if you noticed, but he actually used like the song titles, like he actually used parentheses like in the song title, like he did with one of the older songs from the older album. Oh my god. Sometimes I always forget how to like really pronounce it because it's like such a long name, but it's the song from oh my gosh. It's like it's like Captain Tie Knots and like it's something like that, right?
I don't know. I'm kind of having the exact same trouble over here trying to figure out exactly what you're
You know what song I'm talking about, right?
on this album.
No. Like I mean, like they did something like on the new album, like they did with the older album. I'm trying to like name an older song like they did the same thing with. It was like Captain Tie Knots or like something like that.
Where they had something at the end, like where they had like a part in parentheses. Is that what you're saying?
No, I meant like the song title they used like parentheses on that old song, but I noticed how on the new album they used the song title that had parentheses like they did with the older song, and that's what I liked. Like it's like they're trying to give us like hints, like they're doing something, like like stuff that they really did before, but they're bringing it back. And then Kellen's like, I don't know, he's very like secretive and he's very mysterious. So like I'm just like, Kellen, what are you up to? Like I know you're up to something.
Or maybe it's something where he's not necessarily being too secretive, where they said they're going back to that old sound. I mean, they pretty much just showed the whole entire, like showed it. It's like, yep, we're going back to our old sound. Here it is.
Yeah.
And even in some of in the construction of these songs too, you can see it, because like the song Medicine, Devil in My Head, it really sounds like something from that first album, and that was probably my favorite song from the non-singles perspective, because it actually went really hard.
Yeah, they did.
And the one, when it comes to Sleeping with Sirens too, there's times when they kind of slow it up a little bit more, where I think because there are a couple of songs all in a row where they kind of slowed it up a little bit more and had a little bit more emotion behind it, which I did like. But at times when came to listening through the whole album as it went on, it sounded kind of repetitive to me, where it kind of was a little bit hard. I was harder to differentiate between, okay, what songs sound like what, and something just kind of sounded a little bit more repetitive, and I'm trying to give another word, just kind of the same at times. Not all the time though, just at one select point. So again, I'm not totally bashing it, but it's just, in my opinion, it's sometimes like between like Ghost and Bloodlines and Another Nightmare and P.S. Missing You, they kind of all ran together the same. But luckily, we had Break Me Down to kind of, like, when you're listening through the album all the way from 1 to 11, you would Break Me Down right in the middle of those. So it really kind of changed it up, which it did really well, but kind of wish it would have spaced those out a little bit more. That's just me being nitpicky, though.
Yeah.
And another question with the last song, Dying to Believe. What did you think of that one? Because that was something that, when it came to the lyrics and the kind of the meaning of the song and the vibe of the song, it had a completely different feel than any song that came before it.
Yeah. I really like how they're doing like different stuff, because it's really like good to like try new different stuff. So I think that's where they're heading to, because they know that if they do something different, that they know that people are really going to love it. Like, if you get, like, what I mean?
That they experiment a little bit more.
Yeah.
See, it's I like I said, I don't have a like I've said a lot of times on the podcast and on my page. I never have a problem with bands experimenting. The one thing that always kind of gets me is when you experiment and you completely go away from anything that resembles your personal self or your personal sound. Which is kind of what I like. Why I really didn't like Gossip, because it sounded like they were kind of going way, way away from something that they created or something more manufactured. So all of a sudden, where it jumps back into this album, they went back to that old sound, and it sounded there was a lot more. It sounded like there was a lot more passion, a lot more meaning behind it. But when you get to Dying to Believe, that's the kind of experimentation I'm talking about, because they really never lost any kind of their own songwriting ability or songwriting style or construction on anything. It just had a little bit of it had a different feel and different tone to it, but you could still tell it was a Sleeping with Sirens song. So I'm not 100% sure what you think of that, but what would you think about that? Would you agree, disagree, or?
I actually agree with you.
Interesting. One other thing on with Dying to Believe, that's kind of to me. I just want to get your take on this, because I said this when I will release our YouTube video review. I said it kind of sounded like a grown-up version of a Trophy Father's Trophy Son. Just in the terms of the construction, the sound, and kind of the lyrical content at points. It sounded like just like a grown-up version of it, which was kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, it really is.
So I was actually pretty pleased with that. And one thing I actually have to say about this one is, I'm not sure. Have you listened to any other of the new albums from bands that have come out recently, like in the past month?
No, I haven't actually. No, not yet. I've been telling myself I should, but I think I really should.
Okay, because I was going to say this just so that to give you a little bit of a take on, like a little finishing take on this song from my perspective. Because the previous week, a band called Wage War released their third album, Pressure. And throughout the whole entire album, they had kind of their theme was being confident in yourself and not letting anyone else dictate how you feel about yourself and what your thought of yourself is. And at the end, the song at the end, it was completely different sounding than anything else on the album, much like with Dying to Believe and How It Feels to Be Lost with the whole entire album. But where it completely differed for me was with Wage War's album. The message and the feeling behind it really felt like it was more of a defeated feel, which made absolutely no sense to me, because if you're talking about really telling people and to be confident who they are and really drive that as your meaning, as your motive, it really is kind of detrimental when the song sounds like it's really downtrodden and defeated. Whereas when it comes to Dying to Believe, it did have a different sound and a different feel to it than any other song on the How It Feels to Be Lost. But it was different because it was all Kellen Quinn being honest with everything that had gone on the past couple of years and putting it all into an album. But when it came to Dying to Believe, that was kind of removed a little bit. But it was more of a connection between the fans and the band, where it was, we've gone through all this stuff, and now you know that that what we've gone through, we know you're going through stuff, and this song and this album is more of a connection to it, where you can use this to relate to everything and use this as your own personal mantra to get through stuff.
Yeah. Well, how I see it is like, it's like if Kellen's like almost venting, but he's singing. Like he's venting, like he's letting out all his emotions, because it's really not good to like keep things bottled inside. So I guess he knew that I want to like let that out, like I want to vent to my fans, but in lyrics. So I'm like sure that made him feel better about himself.
Yeah, and I thought overall he did an absolutely fantastic job when it came to expressing all of that.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so Now, we've talked about the album a good deal. I want to get your take on this. If you had to rate this album on a scale of 1 to 10, 0 to 10, 0 being the absolute worst, and 10 being the absolute best, what would you give this album?
Like, in my full honesty, I give it an 11.
You give it an 11 out of 10, and as long as that is what you honestly believe this album deserves, then then you're, I mean, for you, you're correct. That's what I want to hear. On my end, though, I end up giving it an 8 out of 10. So still, it is. I thought it was overall basically. I liked how a lot of those songs, like "Leave It All Behind," "Breaking Down," "Agree Disagree," and "Medicine Devil in My Head," they really went back to that old sound, that harder sound that I really like. I really did enjoy. And overall, like kind of like how the instrumentation really flowed with everything. It wasn't where the instrumentation was blowing anything away. Like it wasn't like completely fantastic or overshadowing anything, except maybe on Agree to Disagree because it was really good on that one. But every single song, it really complemented Kellen's vocals and Kellen's lyrics to up the profile of the song. It never drew it down or anything. And then, of course, how Dying to Believe ended on a more hopeful tone. But the overall best was the fact that Kellen was so damn honest on this one, and the lyrical content showed it. It really shone through as something where I was hoping this album was going to be the way it came out, and I'm just so happy it did.
Yeah, I'm really happy about this too.
I mean, and I kind of already said like the two things I kind of really didn't like about it were some songs like Agree, Disagree, and I think Never Enough was another one too, where I thought the lyrics were a little bit cheesy at times. And then some of the songs like Ghosts and Bloodlines and Another Nightmare and P.S. Missing You, they kind of sounded a little bit repetitive in the middle. But that was pretty much really my only couple of criticisms on this album. And I know you said 11 out of 10, so I don't think you're really going to have many criticisms on this album if you're going way over the spectrum.
Well, I mean, I don't know. That's just the kind of fan I've always been. I'm just like so highly supportive. Like, I don't know why, but that's just how I am.
Well, I think it's because you connect to the band so heavily and so well that it's when you hear their music, you can easily relate to it. You can easily have a bond with it. So it's really hard to like say it's when you're giving your honest opinion about how much you like this album. I mean, who's to tell you you're wrong?
Nobody.
Exactly. I mean, kind of the conversation we're having back and forth is I'm just telling you my thoughts on it, but overall, it's when it comes to music, and if you like it, it's really relative. Just because it all depends upon what you like to listen to in terms of what the instrumentation sounds like, what the vocals sound like, what the lyrical content is, but it's also a lot more important with how you actually connect to it and what it means to you on an emotional and spiritual level.
Yeah.
So we got through the album pretty much, and it looks like a lot of people are high on this album too, because I've been asking a lot of people about what would you rate this album on a scale of 1 to 10 or 0 to 10. And the most consistent number I'm getting is actually an 8 out of 10. So it seems like the music community at large is really liking this album.
Yeah, I actually believe that too. It actually seems to be more liked than Gossip, because I remember when Gossip had came out, I remember how disliked it really was.
I was a member of that group that really disliked Gossip, so I will fully admit that.
I mean, we all have our own opinions, so I can't. I mean, it doesn't make me upset that you say that, but I mean, we all have our own opinions.
Very much so, and I mean, didn't you say that you like Gossip for a certain, like, what was the reason why you really like Gossip? Was it for the same reason that you could really connect to the album on a certain level for you specifically?
Yeah, and really because like that era was like pop, and I'm like a pop music person too. Like on the low key, like I'm like, well, most of the time I listen to rock, but then I like some pop music. So I like how it was like all of that together. So that's why I had really liked that album.
And again, that's totally okay, because there are some things that when bands kind of do something like that, there's people that won't like it and there's people that will like it. Kind of like Bring Me the Horizon, where I've seen a lot of people like their new album that came out back in January, though I can't stand it. Like I really can't stand it. However, when it comes to those albums I can't stand it, bands kind of change their sound around or something like that, or they go a completely different direction. I will say what I think about it, but I'm always curious, why did you make that move? So I've gone through and looked at some of that stuff too. So it's kind of like with Bring Me the Horizon. I really don't like the sound they made with Amo, but looking at the reason why they did it, I absolutely respect the move.
Yeah, me too.
So now with that being done and with the album out, where do you think Sleeping with Sirens goes from here, especially with the loss of Gabe?
Well, I remember hearing that Gabe had left the band, and I was kind of, sad that he had left when he was there since the start, but he really didn't give us a clear message why he left. But I mean, I just hope the best for him, like whatever he does after, and we're all gonna miss him and all that. But even though like it's just for them now, and whoever the new drummer's gonna be, I hope he's like, I hope he's a nice guy too. So I mean, I always support them regardless of what happens and what goes on.
The one thing that was very interesting though was right when that they announced that he was leaving the band, because it was a week before the album came out, which initially it makes a person like me very curious as to why would you leave the band now right after you record this record with them. You guys been friends for so long, and the record's about to drop 1 week from that moment. So the cynicism in me at that point, it's like, okay, what's going on here? Like, what was going on in the background beforehand? However, right after the news broke, the band tweeted out something where it was, they wish him the best, and they went way out of their way to say there's no hard feelings between him or the band, that it was like that was a mutual decision. Where we see that all the time. It's like, oh, it was a mutual decision. But I've really never seen a band go full force out there and say, there was absolutely no hard feelings and the guys still love Gabe. So I'm like, oh, this is a little different than I'm used to. So who knows what might be the case exactly. But as long as they're all still friends and it's just something that, maybe Gabe had to do for himself, maybe there's a personal reason behind it. Who knows? Hopefully the new drummer comes in and meshes with the band real well and doesn't kind of keeps the same kind of emotion and mojo that Gabe brought to the band. But it always leaves the door open for Gabe's return somewhere later down the line.
Yeah.
So do you hope that he kind of ends up coming back after maybe like 5-6 years or so?
Yeah, I remember when I was talking about it to like others, and then I was like saying, I'm like, what if like, I mean, maybe not now, but like, what if like, like way later on he decides like, hey, I think I want to go back, like, I miss the guys, and I just miss like the touring and everything, like when I was in this band, like it was like the best thing I ever had, because I'm sure it was, because whatever he does next, it's not going to be nothing compared to like the way everything was like being and Sleeping with Sirens, and that's like a for sure thing.
Yeah, but then again, there's also other times where like some bands disband or other members move on for certain reasons, and sometimes it's reasons that you can't help, and it's like, oh, they'll never end up topping what they did with that band. However, sometimes people actually end up pulling that off, which is actually kind of cool. So we'll see if Gabe can do something like that. However, I'm not necessarily thinking he's going to be able to pull off something to the magnitude of that, just because I just don't know why. I just think that he meshed so well in with Sleeping with Sirens due to the fact that they were all friends from back in the day, that it's going to be really tough to just kind of bring that back to like kind of do something on your own. But if it's somebody he really wants to do on his own and he's really big into it and he really has a lot of emotion behind it and a lot of investment behind it, then who say he can't be successful? I just don't see it at the moment.
Yeah, you're actually right.
I mean, as much as I would like to see him pull off what Dave Grohl pulled off, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's true.
But then we'll also see what happens too, because now that once a new drummer comes in, I know they're going on tour at the towards like the in fall of this year already. So in a couple of weeks, I know they're going on tour with, I believe, Pop Evil, and Bring Me the Horizon is actually headlining. So are they coming to your area at all? Are you gonna go get that meet and greet again?
Yes, they're actually they only have one show in Texas because that's where I'm from. I'm from Texas, and I got really lucky because the only Texas show was in my exact city, and then which is also coincidental because the show is like literally like exactly 3 weeks after my birthday, and I was like, wow, like I told people, and I was like, y'all don't have to like give me any gifts this year because that will be my big gift this year.
It's like if you can help fund this, then you're good.
Yeah.
But of course, it's the one show they're gonna have in Texas this whole entire year. It ends up being right where you need it to be,
Yeah.
which is awesome. Unfortunately, they're not coming anywhere near me, so gonna have to miss them. Hopefully, what I'm honestly hoping for is that 2020 rolls around and they're ready to kind of do another big shot tour with this, or that they've been waiting to do something with like going insane on this album with a tour, because that one with Bring Me the Horizon and Pop Evil, it's only lasting like a little over a month, I believe. So I'm hoping they do something, like 2 or 3 month thing in the US next year. What I'm really hoping for is at the beginning of the year next year, all of a sudden Pierce the Veil announces that they've got a new record coming out because it's been about 3 years since theirs. I know they're working on something. And then all of a sudden it's already, we're going to have a tour, and it's just going to be Sleeping with Sirens and Pierce the Veil. And that's it. Because can you imagine the amount of people that would go out and see a show like that?
Yeah. A lot.
Because the thing is you get you get the people, you get the fans like yourself that are just, all into either band, whether it's Sleeping Siren, whether it's Pierce the Veil. They're gonna be there. They're gonna be front row no matter what.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna get a whole mess of people, maybe my age, like mid-20s, maybe late 20s, who really were listening to these bands and were kind of in that certain scene back in like 2010, 2011. That's like, oh my god, I can't believe these two are actually touring again. We gotta go see them. So you're gonna get a whole mess of people there. Then you're gonna get people like me who's just gonna be like, well, I just love this music, and I really like these two bands, so yeah, I'm going. It's like, shut up and take my money.
Yeah. That's something I actually go to also because, like, I've never been to a Pierce the Veil concert. I've never been to one. I've never seen them live before, so that's really something that I'd go to.
Well, especially if they were gonna be with Sleeping with Sirens. I mean, that's a can't miss show right there.
Yeah, that's like double everything back.
Have you seen any other concerts this year so far, or any other ones that are planned for the rest of the year?
I I I think this month. I don't remember the date, but I know I'm supposed to go see Iron Maiden. I don't know if you know who they are.
Of course, I know who Iron Maiden is.
Yeah. This is actually my second time seeing them. Okay, so this is a fun fact. Iron Maiden was like my first concert ever, like when I was 11, and then many years later, I'm actually seeing them for the second time, and I've been to like so many concerts, but I've been to like more Sleeping with Sirens concerts than anything like in my life.
Yeah, and I mean I can totally see why too, because when your favorite band comes to town or you have a chance to see them, you're gonna go and see them. Like, I mean, I'm in the exact same boat too. I've seen Rise Against 8 times. I'm going to see him for a ninth on Saturday. So it's like, hell yeah, I'm totally down for this. You kidding me? It's when you get a chance to go see a band that you really love and that you really connect with on some sort of level, you're gonna want to go see them any chance you get.
Yeah, yeah.
But
That's
Iron
cool.
Maiden was your first concert ever?
Yes, when I was 11.
Was that something that you wanted to go to, or was it something that your parents were like, hey, do you want to go see Iron Maiden? Or, you know what, we're going to see Iron Maiden, you don't have a say in this.
I actually didn't know that they were coming because I don't keep up with the band. My dad was like, because he listens to like nothing but classic rock music. He does not like anything new. So he was all like, "Hey, like Iron Maiden's coming back, like again, and do you want to go?" And he said, "Yeah, because I know you only saw them once when you were like little, and then you're older now. So do you want to go have that chance to go see them again?" I was like, "Yeah, like I can't miss that. Like I'm definitely going."
Okay, that is absolutely awesome, man. Well, so you really started out on more classic rock, like stuff that your dad was listening to?
Yeah. So another fact about me is I grew up with nothing but just old music. I never listened to anything old because my parents had raised me when I was little. I was raised like to see as new music is not inspirational, and it's like it won't like help you with nothing. It won't get you nowhere. So my parents would tell me the old music is what will help you out and will get you to something better. So I believe that. So when I would be at school and I would like talk about like a bunch of like older artists and all that, and then everybody would just look at me like are you crazy? Like what era do you live in? Like this is like 2008. Like there was like because in 2008 there was like Hannah Montana. Like everybody else like Hannah Montana, and then I was here liking like bands like Guns N' Roses and Queen, Iron Maiden, and like stuff like that.
Your story and my story from when I was a kid are eerily similar because that's what I grew up on. It was all 80s rock, some 70s rock because that's what my parents were growing up. I mean, with my mom was a huge Beatles fan, so of course listening to the Beatles with my dad, it was a lot of Van Halen, ZZ Top, Rush, Poison, the hair metal bands. So I was like, that's what I would listen to. All of
Yeah.
a sudden, then I went to when I was in grade school. I was in one grade school that I knew a bunch of people there, so everyone knew who I was already. So being myself was and liking that music, it was not a problem. Like in my first concert was I think it was either Styx or Foreigner. It was one of the two. I think it was Styx though. But then all of a sudden I transferred schools and at the new school I went to, it was I said something about it and everyone started making fun of me, so I kind of changed my attitude and was listening to whatever was popular on the radio at the time. So this is like 2004, 2005. And then I really didn't get back into I didn't like end up, getting back into falling in love with rock music until I started playing Guitar Hero because then it was like I'm actually hearing all these different bands that are out currently and I'm starting to really enjoy them because they sound awesome. And I kept thinking to myself, why am I listening to this pop crap when I'm loving this? Makes no sense.
Yeah, I was in your spot too.
That's why I have to give a huge shout out to like 3 Days Grace because my brother and I would always play video games, and on a couple of the video games that we had, one of this one was like a NASCAR video game because my brother and I and my dad we were really into it early in like the early to mid 2000s. And every time you turn on the game, I Hate Everything About You was the song that would start out. Or one of the old wrestling video games from WWE. They basically had like 4 songs from 1X on there, and I'm like, okay, so I'm totally into that. Or then Guitar Hero, and then trying to think of another one. Or just when Green Day came out with American Idiot. That was like the one that kind of it was like those couple really were the ones that kind of kickstarted it and just got it going. But then everything kind of changed once Guitar Hero 3 came out and I played Stricken by Disturbed for the first time. That changed everything.
Yeah, that's totally relatable.
Did you ever have a time where it was when you were in school where you kind of started liking more of the music that everyone else was listening to?
Yeah, yeah, you definitely remember this too. You remember when Disney Channel was actually Disney Channel, like all the like the pop stars like that are all famous now. Like how they all started off there and then like they had their music, like
I
like
never watched Disney Channel as a kid, but I know exactly what era and what kind of shows you're talking about.
yeah, everybody was into that, and like my friends like they liked all that stuff, but I was like slowly trying to get there because I felt that hey, I could fit in more if I try to get more into like the new stuff. And I remember like telling my parents like, hey, like I'm liking the new stuff. And then they would just be like, no, like that's not real music. Like the music that we've shown you, that's real music.
Yeah, my parents were a little concerned at first. They're like, what are you listening to? Like, is this actually real music?" But then what they realized real quickly was when they were listening to the music like this when they were growing up, their parents were saying the exact same thing. I mean, my parents realized it real quickly, and what they were happy about was that even though we were listening to we were still listening to rock music, both my brother and myself, but we were kind of taking it in different directions. My brother kept going even like kind of like that classic rock sound. Like he loves listening to like Fleetwood Mac and I'm trying to think, and Rush and kind of bands like that. But then all of a sudden, I'm going more heavier with what's current, and then all of a sudden it's like okay now they talk to me. It's like okay, this kid's completely off the deep end, but they're happy with it. Like my parents are loving it just because it's like oh look at all like the stuff like shoot look at how much fun he's having, look at how much he's enjoying himself, look at how much the music is just like making him happy.
Yeah, it was funny too because all the girls like in my grade they like all their crushes, like celeb crushes were like the Jonas Brothers and all that. And my celeb crush was actually Axl Rose, the lead singer from Guns N' Roses, and I remember how like different I was just like from everybody else.
I mean, don't worry. It's kind of cool to be the one that's different from everybody else, though. And the one thing that I'm kind of mad about, especially when it came to music, was I don't know why for those couple of years, like I really latched on to pop music and tried to be the kind of that the someone that just fit in, not really noticed when I was perfectly groomed to be the kid that was confident in himself and was not having a problem with being the outsider, just because living in Wisconsin, everyone's a Green Bay Packers fan when it comes to football. Me, I like the Minnesota Vikings, and I've never been non-vocal about it. And I was getting ridiculed constantly for it, and I never let it bother me. So I was like, wait, why am I letting the music bother me? And I think what ended up happening was I just wanted something to have in common with them. But I should have just completely I should have just completely went away with it because, God, after I started listening to it again and really started to get back into it, it just felt so much better. So that's kind of where I was like, you know what? Listening to rock music or metal or post-hardcore, metalcore, whatever other subgenres too that are kind of around that area. I'm like, why wasn't I sticking with this in like 2006, 2007, when it was like I didn't really start getting back into it until like 2008, 2009. I should have started way earlier.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's what happens. But yeah, what are you gonna do? As long as you're enjoying the music now, that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's true.
So, outside of Iron Maiden, any other concerts that are on the agenda?
Like this year?
Yeah, this year. Or any other, like, concerts that, you really want to see and you're just waiting for the opportunity to get to go see them?
Actually, well, I don't plan on other concerts. The only concert I have for like, the rest of like the end of the year is actually just like the concert with Sleeping With Sirens and Bring Me the Horizon together. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go to that.
But then outside of that, you really don't have anything else planned for the upcoming future?
No, not really. I mean, I guess it depends whatever comes up next,
Yeah, very true. But when it overall, if you're listening to whatever bands you might be listening to, what bands are you listening to right now that if they ever come around to Texas, wherever you're from? You said San Antonio, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so what bands are you hoping come by you, and when they do come by you, will you be getting a ticket for? So it's like kind of just a speculation thing.
Definitely Guns N' Roses, because they're my favorite classic rock band, like to be honest, and they came here about a good 2 years ago, but I didn't get to go to the show, and I was like really sad. So I'm like, next time whenever they come back, I'm definitely gonna go. I can't miss that.
Yeah, because I know they're still touring because they're doing Louder Than Life at the end of the month in Kentucky. And I was hoping to go to that festival because the lineup they have is absolutely insane. But money is kind of an issue when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of get screwed a little bit because unfortunately, like there's two bands I want to see. One of them I'm definitely going to when when they come back by me. but one I will never ever get a chance to go see anymore. And I may have had a chance once a couple of years ago, and I said no, and now I completely missed out on it. I will never see them live, and it stinks. So, ugh. I will never
Yeah,
see
it's
Linkin
tough.
Park live, and it kills me.
Yeah, I actually was supposed to see them live in 2017. The show was, I think the show was supposed to be like in August, and I believe Chester died around in July-ish time.
I think it was July 20th.
Yeah, it was July the 20th, and the concert was literally like a good 2, 3 weeks away. And I remember for so long, like my dad was like, I'm gonna buy you that ticket, like you're gonna go, and then you're gonna love that concert because I've seen them live, and I'm just like, oh my god, like And for like a while, like I remember I would like tell everybody and just brag about like, hey, like I want to go see Linkin Park live, and um when it was that same day of Chester's passing, and I had no idea that happened. It was like 11 or 12, and then I was like watching TV, and then my dad called me, and then he was like we were just having a normal convo, and he's like, hey, like there's something I gotta tell you, and I was like, what? He's like, we're not gonna go see Linkin Park, and then I was like why? I was like, you couldn't buy the ticket, like did it get sold out or something? And he was like, no. And then I was like, well, what happened? And he's like, well, the singer, he says the lead singer passed away, and I was like, no, like you're joking, because my dad, he's always the type to like he's really good at joking. Like he could make something like sound really serious, but it's like a whole joke, and that's what I thought he was trying to do. And I was like, no, Dad, like you're joking. And then he was like, no, like he says, no, like this is why I'm calling you. He says that like if it wasn't real, I wouldn't be calling you like this. And and then I had looked it up, and then I had saw it was everywhere, and I was like, oh well. I said he was telling the truth, and I remember how like sad I was. And then I remember for a while, like people were like making fun of me because how I was telling them I was gonna go see them, and then it was really hard.
Well, that people. I mean, screw those people for making fun of you after that happened. Just because, what would have happened if like their favorite started? Like, what happened if all of a sudden they were bragging about the fact they're going to see I don't know, like Taylor Swift or Miley Cyrus or something, and all of a sudden they find out that they passed away, and they've been bragging about it for months. All of a sudden, would you be making fun of them? No, because you know what I mean, what it meant to those people. So it's they're gonna be sad. They're gonna feel a little embarrassed too because they've been bragging for so long, and now it's just with everything that's happened. It's unfortunate, but it's not happening anymore. And it's like, well, they're sad because they're not gonna be able to go to the show, and someone that really means a lot to them in the music scene is no longer with us. So it's like. It sounds like those people that make fun of you. Screw them.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
It's kind of one of the mentalities I always try and think about too, and kind of have. It's just if because people do stuff to me, it's like, but if it's the other way around, and for me, sports is pretty much like the way it happens because I'm always the one that's the odd man out. It's like if you're making fun of me for something, all of a sudden then the reverse happens. It's like, what do I do? It's like I always take the high ground.
Yeah, yeah, it didn't last for too long when people were making fun of me. Like I remember like going back to school because it happened a little before school started again, and I was like kind of like nervous because like man, like people are gonna be telling me stuff because of what happened. And then I remember for like a good month or two, like people in my bus, like they would like out of nowhere, like they would just yell like, oh, Linkin Park, like because like I don't know why. I guess they're like trying to trigger me, but I didn't like listen to it. Like I would just ignore it. But yeah, like I didn't listen to them. I was just like, like let them talk all they want. I was like, I'm here, and I was like, and they can't put me down that way. Like I'm stronger than that.
Yeah, they're just trying to get a reaction out of you, just to try and see what they could do out of you. And the best thing you could have done was just not even acknowledge the fact that they were doing anything.
Yeah.
But one thing that I will include it with this with how it feels to be lost as well with the whole entire album, and ever since over the past 2 years, so ever since Chester's been gone, It's honestly one of the more, as sad as it is, it's one of the more amazing things I've ever seen happen, because there are so many artists out there that it's been 2 years and you can still see his influence and people are still remembering who he is. Whereas you get other people out there where it's like, oh, it's like other great musicians have passed on. And I'm talking, transcendent musicians that were even bigger than Linkin Park. And probably bigger than Linkin Park ever could have gotten, like Michael Jackson or Prince. Where it was like we
Yeah.
remembered them for like a week and then that was it. And then even you look in the music scene as well, like the scenes that they were in, and it was like they remembered for like another month or so, but then that was it. You look at Chester though, it's like, I mean, Disturbed's "Hold On to Memory" song and "A Reason to Fight" are basically based off of Chester Bennington. I know
Yeah.
Skillet this year on their song "Victorious," which was their titular song to their album, again was basically based upon what had happened to Chester and how they were going through it and kind of the emotions that they were feeling after it happened. And it's just amazing to see because his influence is still there, his memory is still there, and no one's letting it go. And that's something that
Yeah.
is, and it's not like no one's letting go of the fact that he's gone, so no one's letting go. It's not the grieving process; it's the memory and his influence that no one's letting go of, which is, even though he's gone, that's the way it should be, because I don't think there was really one band in the past, like in rock music specifically in the past 20 years, that had touched and had such as big of an influence on the music scene or the rock music scene now that Linkin Park did.
Yeah.
Because even taking a look at what they did with the One More Light album, there are points of it that I can definitely see in how it feels to be lost, with how honest Kellen Quinn went.
Yeah, that's actually a good question. Like, I wonder, next time I see Kellen, I'm definitely gonna ask him if Linkin Park was like a big inspiration like for this album.
When you do make that happen, because I know you, like, they're gonna be coming to San Antonio. I know you're gonna get the meet and greet for it. If you get a chance to ask that question, please do, and then let me know the answer, because I am incredibly curious on this. Because I
Yeah,
have a
that's like something I should definitely ask.
I have a feeling it's gonna be yes, and that's just, in my opinion, that's just gonna end up proving my kind of like my theory that his that Chester Bennington's influence and his and just what he meant to people is not lost, and it might be stronger than it has been for it's stronger than it has been for any other artist that has passed away in the past 10-15 years.
Yeah. Um.
We're getting on the level of people using him as an influence. He's getting to like Freddie Mercury status, if he's not there
Yeah.
already. So I mean that's something that is absolutely amazing. And I think Skillet was working on a playlist on Spotify or something that was like basically all revolving around the past year regarding artists and their songs that all kind of revolved around like, this one's for Chester. And I'm pretty sure at least one of these songs from Sleeping with Sirens is gonna end up jumping in on that.
Yeah. I actually think so too because there's been times like on Instagram where Kellen's made like tributes for like Chester. Like I know he made one on his birthday, and then he did one on like his passing anniversary, and then I was like, okay, he's definitely inspired by this guy. Like I know, like that's how you could tell he's a big like Linkin Park fan.
Yeah, and he's not the only one that does it too. There were so many when he passed that did that, or like on the anniversary of his passing. I went on Instagram and it was every single band that had something with that. They always had like either just a photo of Chester or a photo with someone from the band or with Chester, because I think even Jay-Z had something for him this year, I believe. But then again, that Collision Course mashup when they did Mixed and Numb with Jay-Z's Encore, that's still the best mashup of all time.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think you can get any better than that. But yes, please ask Kellen that question when you get to go see him, because I am so curious to hear the answer of this.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to like find like the proper words to put it together because I really do get shy around him. Like, I get so nervous that, like, I stutter, like, when I'm talking to him. So I'm really gonna have to, like, kind of, like, straighten up, like,
So kind of around him, you kind of get starstruck in a way, or in a lot of a way.
yeah, but it's, like, it's not bad. Like, I'm scared. I'm just, like, oh, my God, like, I'm actually standing right in front of the Kellen Clinton, and I'm just, like, talking to him. Like, it's like that.
Oh, I totally understand that. And one thing that I do to kind of when I meet someone like that, where it's a kind of best way to put it is to um, kind of calm those nerves down is if especially if you've met them before, like you've met Kellen before multiple times, is to try and equate their personality with someone that that you know really well. And if you're able to do that, then you kind of have a guide on how to converse with the person and how to connect with the person.
Yeah.
Because it's like my best friend in the whole world. He's got his personality is like almost identical to Jared Leto's of 30 Seconds to Mars.
I don't really know too much about that guy, but he seems pretty awesome.
I'll put it this way. I mean, my best friend's awesome. He's got the exact same kind of personality, so yeah. I'm leaving it at that.
I mean, I know who Jared Leto is, but I like that's what I mean. Like, I don't know too much about him, so that's why I was like, he sounds awesome, but even though I don't really like know about him.
Yeah, it's kind of like eccentric and kind of in his own world kind of thing. But it's like I was saying is but my point to that was and when I've the times I've had a chance to talk to him, which haven't been that many, but it's very easy because I was able to basically relate someone who I know very well's personality to theirs, so I can make it work to the point where it's like, okay, I can easily see, how this person works and feels and functions and how their mind works, so connecting with them is not an issue.
Yeah, that's actually true. Sometimes, like, I feel that way with Kellen because I don't know. Sometimes it's like me and him are almost the same person, and it's funny because when people like share pictures together, they like tell me they're just like, "Oh my God, like you guys look like you're brother and sister," and I'm like, "What?" Like a lot of people have told me that, and I'm like, "Really?" And then like I don't know, like there's that awkwardness. Like when I just talk to him, it's like I'm talking to myself. Like we're both socially awkward, and we both like have like some kind of same sense of humor, and I don't know, it's just crazy.
Interesting, yeah. So kind of like I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. It's if you're saying like he's kind of basically exactly like you in a way. I mean
Yeah,
that makes it sound like it would be incredibly easy, just because it's kind of like you're talking to yourself.
yeah,
So in a way, it's like, hey, it works.
yeah. It really does work. The first time I remember how I was nervous the first time I ever met him. I was so nervous that I remember I passed out. Like that's how bad it got. I passed out at the meet and greet for like 3 minutes, and then I woke up and I was like, "Oh, I'm okay." Like everybody was just like, "Is she okay?" And then my sister was me. She's like, "Yeah, she's fine. This is her first meet and greet." And I remember how like after that I was just like the concert had started. I remember being like so hyped, and then I wasn't like nervous anymore.
You actually passed out.
No, I did. Like we were in line for the photo op, and my sister was like right next to me, and I started really shaking uncontrollably. I was like I couldn't talk, and I was like my sister. I was like, oh my God. I said I think I'm gonna pass out, and she's like, oh stop overreacting. And I remember I just like everything went black, and then 3 minutes later I woke up. I was like, what happened? She's like, you really did pass out.
Oh my
And
god.
then but yeah, everybody was just like looking at us like, is she okay? And then I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm fine. And I remember like I went up to Kellen and I remember how I gave him like the biggest hug ever. And then I was like, oh, fine after that.
Oh boy. That is that's actually quite the story. I'm not gonna lie. Hopefully this.
Yeah, I'll never forget my first time.
Hopefully this time you won't pass out when you see him.
Oh, trust me, that was the first time in like 2015, 2016. But the other times I've been fine. Like I talk to him like as if I've known him forever. Like that's the feeling now.
Well, when you connect with someone, when you've met someone for that much, and you're able to connect with them, I mean, it's not that. After a while, it just gets to be pretty easy to talk to them and really find out about who they are.
Yeah, I remember like before, like when I didn't meet him, I remember how like some people would say like, oh, like Kellen Quinn's a jerk. Like when you meet him, like he's a douchebag and like he's really rude and stuck up. And I was like, I mean, I don't think he is. And then all the times I met him, he's like really sweet. He's all nice. And then I was like, man, like why would people say those things about him? Like he's just so nice.
And it's like you're looking at like, well, that's a whole bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one thing that I've been trying to do a lot more lately is I've been trying to be able to get to meet some of these bands just because I've listened for so long, and through the whole entire My Song of the Day thing, the Chord Progression podcast, I really want to meet some of these and get to know them and, maybe build a rapport with them so that maybe I can interview them on here or just end up, you never know what might happen. But, and
Yeah.
I'm always thinking like, okay, what happens, if I actually do meet them? I'm just like, just be cool, just, don't be like, oh my God, it's you, and just give them a giant hug, because that'd just be weird. It's like, just be relaxed, take a deep breath, you got this.
Yeah, that's what I tried doing the first time, but I really don't know what happened. I think it was because in that year I had a lot of bad anxiety that year, so I think that's why I think it was like a bunch of mixed emotions at that moment. Like I was anxious and I was nervous, and then I was like hyped up and I was excited. So I think when all of that put together, I guess that's how bad it got. Like at the meet and greet.
I mean, well, hopefully again, it doesn't happen to you when you see him again back in, what is that, October now?
Yeah, no, it shouldn't, because it never happened again. That was only the first time, and then that was it. I've been fine all the other times.
Okay, well, hopefully it doesn't randomly happen this time, because that would be not too good.
Yeah, it won't, trust me.
I hope so. I hope it doesn't, because we need that Chester Bennington question answered.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, anything else with Sleeping with Sirens before I kind of send you on your way today? Because we've already done an hour and 15 minutes.
I think I pretty much said everything I had wanted to.
Alrighty, actually, I've got one last question at this moment, and then I'll let you go. You got time for one more question then?
Yes.
What is your long-term plan with the fan page that you have for Sleeping with Sirens and Kellen Quinn?
How the way I explain it, I see it as an endless promise. Okay, so as long as I live for, I mean, I'm not saying I'm gonna die young, but I'm saying however long I live for, to the fullest. I'm really gonna subvert this band endlessly, and then I'm gonna meet them as many times as I can. So that's a life goal for myself.
Alrighty, well, again, when it comes to your page, I hope for the best for everything. When I put out anything in regards to this podcast episode, or anything on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, on the podcast itself, I will make sure that I have your Instagram page tagged on everything so that everyone who's listening can go and check it out, and hopefully give you a follow as well, because, well, they better. So, well, I want to thank you very much for joining me, and when you get a chance to see them again and talk to Kellen Quinn, if you get that Chester Bennington question answered, I may have to bring you back on the podcast, because we may have to talk about that for an hour and a half.
Yeah, but it was a really good talk.
Alrighty, well, again, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it so much, and I love talking about this album with you.
You're welcome.
Alrighty, have a great week. And, well,
thank you.
Until I talk to you again.
All right.
Alrighty, take care.
All right. You too.
All right, bye.
Bye.
So that was Ariana, folks. And don't worry, I will have her fan page for Sleeping with Sirens, Kellen Quinn. I will have it in the description for the podcast episode, so you guys can go check it out from there. Or if you see us on anything with Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, I'll have it on there as well, so you guys can easily go check it out. I would suggest it because she's got some cool stuff on there. I still have yet to check out her meet and greet photos with the band. So, yeah, I'll have to go check those out right after this. And hopefully we can get that Chester Bennington question answered, because I'm really curious about this. And I really hope my theory on how Chester Bennington and his influence is still a huge part of music is correct. I really want to make sure that this happens, because, God, I just want to be right on this one so damn bad. So yeah, the only really other thing in music that I have to talk about is Of Mice and Men. Taste of Regret was the fourth single for their album coming out at the end of September. Oh, I forgot about that one too, but end of September. I listened to it. I'll say this: it smacks. Really excited for the new Of Mice and Men Earth and Sky album. We'll talk about that one on the Chord Progression podcast episode on October 1st. I may have to bring in Jakin back for that one, because they'll be right after Louder Than Life 2. Yeah, that is definitely the time to bring Jake back on. I'm going to see if I can make that happen. And I've got some other ones too, but thanks to our friend Jake, he actually let us in on a little secret. Well, not a little secret anymore, but I didn't know about this was going to happen until he sent it to me, but a day to remember. Now, you guys know, if you've listened to this stuff or following this stuff, I'm not the biggest Day to Remember fan, because I never really got into the band that much, and I never really listened too much. They were my ex-girlfriend's favorite band. I started listening a little bit with her, but then afterwards I kind of just didn't really care for it, just because, again, there's always a little bit of emotional connection there. But I have listened to their stuff, and they have a new album coming out. I believe it's on November 15th. So am I going to be doing an album review for that one? Absolutely, I will be doing an album review for that one as well. And don't worry, guys. I will make sure that it is fair and partial review to what I think it is. Any of that emotion stuff, I will definitely, preview that beforehand. I will say we're throwing it completely out, because I want to give this its full-on review. It's honest review. It'll be 100% honest. No holds barred. It'll be fair. All that stuff. Other thing was, did anybody else see the new Saint Asonia album cover? Flawed design. Oh my God. I don't know if it's better than Alter Bridge's Walk the Sky, but it's between those two for best album cover of the year. They're so good. I mean, and I hope Saint Asonia's album is just as good as that album cover looks. We've already heard The Hunted, and I'm so into it because it sounds awesome. Adam Gontier, I love the music that he writes, so this will be interesting. And with Sleeping With Sirens too, I mean, because of their album, because of everything else coming out, and how much music I'm liking this year, I was going to go with a top 5 albums of the year and, pit them against each other to figure out which one's number 1. We're expanding it to 10 because I need to add 5 more lists to really talk about them, because we've had a lot of good albums this year, and I really want to make sure that everyone that is in the top 10 gets their due, and I don't miss out on any. So I won't be doing honorable mentions for that one, because I have a top 10. So, yeah. Looking forward to that as well. Lastly, on the day that this podcast comes out, because we'll have a lot to talk about the following week as well, with the new Chord album, The Nothing, coming out on September 13th. So the next episode of the Chord Progression podcast, I'm talking about Chord's new album. I get to see 2 concerts coming up. Well, actually, the day this podcast release, I get to see Pennywise and Anti-Flag. How cool is that? And then I get to go to Riot Fest in Chicago for the Saturday, and I can see Rise Against again, and Slayer for the only time I'm probably ever going to get to see Slayer. However, Rise Against goes off stage 5 minutes before Slayer starts. So, do I leave Rise Against early to go see Slayer, or do I stay for Rise Against the whole entire thing? I'm going to go with option B, because you stay for the whole entire goddamn thing. Trust me on that one. But we'll be talking all about that stuff. Next week, it'll probably just be me solo style, just because there's going to be a good amount to go over with all this stuff. Let's see if I lose my shoes at the show this time, and I will end up talking about my new full-time job as well. I'm not going to talk about it and what's going on, but I'm just talking about my schedule so you can kind of get a figure of what's all to expect from the Chord Progression podcast, from my Song They Rock 2008, and from myself as well. So, without further ado, did I say adieu? I said adieu. Okay, now that was really bad, Kevin. Please, whatever you do, do not do that again, because, well, you're just not that good of a singer. But you guys hear me do that stupid stuff all the time, so it's kind of nothing new, which is kind of funky. But on that note, that's actually going to be it for me. And as always, I want to thank you guys for being on the Chord Progression podcast as listeners. I really do appreciate it. With all the upcoming albums, I have a couple of people lined up to talk about them, but I love talking to everybody about these albums, so maybe not for the Korn one, but for every other week that we have new albums. You want to talk about them? Let's talk about them. So I want to give a big shout out to Ariana and her fan page. Give a big shout out again to Ariana for being on the podcast. Her fan page will be in the notes of this album or this podcast episode and all over anything we do for posting about the podcast. I want to thank you for coming and talking about Sleeping With Sirens with us because I really did like this album. It is an Album of the Year candidate. Loved how deep Kellen Quinn went with those lyrics, and hopefully they come back to Milwaukee or Chicago or somewhere in that area next year in 2020. And hopefully they're touring with Pierce the Veil too, because that would be awesome. So, till next time, folks, you know what it is. This is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast, brought to you by My Song They Rock 2000 today. And you know how we end this with the See y'all.